أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أما بعد يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. So today I wanted to talk about something that is important for our daily lives, because most of the Muslim world, most of the Muslims, we don't speak Arabic. As someone from Pakistan myself, I don't understand much Arabic as it is. So, and as Muslims, we're commanded to pray 5 times a day. So it's important that we understand what we're saying, and we're not just praying because of robotic motion and muscle memory. So, first, I want to talk about the surahs that we hear commonly. Of course, we don't have the time to get into all of them today, so I'll talk about maybe 5 today. Surah Al-Kawthar, Surah Al-Ikhlas, Surah Al-Nas, Al-Falaq, and Surah Al-Kafirun, inshallah. And I want to begin with Surah Al-Fatiha because that's the most, the surah we have to recite in every single rak'ah. The other ones are optional. By sunnah, inshallah, we do it, but Al-Fatiha is what's part of every single rak'ah. So we need to understand what we're reciting when we say that. So to talk about that, so in Surah Al-Fatiha, it starts, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. So when we recite that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala replies by saying, oh, my servant has praised me. He's divided this surah into a part for the servant and a part for himself. So every time we say one of these ayahs, Allah responds with something. So then when we say Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, then He says, my servant has glorified me. And then when we say Maliki Yawmiddin, then He says, my servant has exalted me. And then when we say Iyaka na'budu wa Iyaka nasta'een, then we're told, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, after this is from the servant, and whatever the servant asks after this, I will grant it to him. So we follow that up with Sirat al-Ladina an'amta alayhim ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Lead us to the path, and not the path astray, but the straight path that you've guided those before us, and please continue to guide us there. So, and then we follow with Ameen. So it's important to understand this surah, because just if we're praying Fard every single day, then we're reciting it at least 17 times, and then inshallah we're praying Witr and Sunnah. It comes around to at least about 30 times if we take all that into consideration with Sunnah, Witr, and Fard. So, and then now I want to talk about the surahs I mentioned, with Surah Al-Ikhlas and Surah Al-Kawthar and those. So subhanAllah, without knowing any of these blessings, just from being born, we have, just because we might be short in time or something, without even knowing it, we recite Surah Al-Ikhlas, Qul Huwallahu Ahad. We recite Surah Al-Kawthar, Inna A'tainaka Al-Kawthar. We recite those surahs without even knowing these blessings, and Allah has made those surahs beautifully short so we can go on with our day. And without without knowing these blessings, that we're still inclined. Allah knows us, so He's made those because He knows that we're inclined to recite what's short. He could have made Surah Al-Baqarah obviously is important too, but Surah Al-Baqarah spans almost 3 juz. So Allah is encouraging that and I'll talk about some of the blessings of each of these surahs. So first about Surah Al-Ikhlas. Like I mentioned, this is Qul Huwa Allahu Ahad, Allahu Samad, Lam Yalid, Wa Lam Yulad, Wa Lam Yakul Lahu Kufuwan Ahad. There's there are many stories, meanings of the surah. So simply the message from the surah make it important. So this was revealed in a time in Makkah when Prophet Muhammad was preaching the message of Islam, and a Bedouin asked him, to describe Allah. So this is when this surah was revealed, because the Bedouin asked, what is God made of? Because at the time they were worshiping idols. They're made out of wood, gold, clay, whatever they were creating their idols out of. So he was asking, is he made out of wood, gold? Does he have arms? Does he have a family? So then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala replies with this beautiful surah telling Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Qul huwa Allahu ahad. So say Allah is one, Allahu samad, and then lam yalid, lam yulad. So the Christians say that that Allah has begotten a son in Jesus, Isa alayhi salam. So in Surah Al-Ikhlas we're told he does not beget nor is he begotten. And then walam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad, that there's nothing like him, and so we should ask ourselves, what makes Islam different from other religions? It's our concept of God. So this is detailed in the surah, this beautifully short four ayah surah that takes not even 30 seconds to recite in salah. So another story I'd like to share is about an imam from the Prophet's time. He was appointed, and then so he would recite Surah Al-Ikhlas in every single rak'ah. So it began to irritate the people of the masjid that. So they began to ask him that, why are you doing this? He replied that he doesn't have to answer to them. So then they went and they asked the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to ask him, because if the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam asks him, he has to reply. So then he replies to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that, this surah describes the beauty of Allah, and reciting these ayahs bring peace to his heart. So may Allah allow us to have the peace in our hearts when we hear or recite the surah as well. And the last thing I'll talk about in this surah, it also ties in Surah Al-Kafirun here. So I stated earlier that the surah should be a part of our daily lives inside and out, because not just the surah itself, but understanding of it. So in the witr of Isha, the last prayer that should be the last prayer before you sleep, Prophet Muhammad would recite Surah Al-Ikhlas at least once in this prayer. And then in the Sunnah of Fajr, which should be the first prayer that you pray when you wake up, then in this prayer that he used to habitually recite Surah Al-Ikhlas and Surah Al-Kafirun in this rak'ah. So he used to recite these two surahs, keep them day in and day out, with understanding, and may Allah grant us this as well. And also in the Sunnah for Maghrib, he would recite these two rak'ahs as well, Surah Al-Ikhlas and Surah Al-Kafirun. So I'd like to end in the first half of the khutbah with two hadiths from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam about the Sunnah of Fajr. So he said that the two Sunnah of Fajr are better than this world and all it contains. And he also said, don't leave the two Sunnah of Fajr even if you are being attacked by cavalry. So that's the importance of the Sunnah of Fajr. So may Allah grant us the understanding of how important this prayer is. So with that, I'll take the break and we'll talk about Surah Al-Kafirun and a few others. So as I said, we'll talk about Surah Al-Kafirun now. So this surah was also revealed in Makkah. This is the surah that, even I'll admit that, it's 3 ayahs. If I want to get back to studying, then even I'll admit that, I'll be the first to admit that I'll pray this, recite this to, end my prayer quickly. But again, the shortness and sweetness is a beauty here, because, so everyone's heard that, Surah Al-Ikhlas is said to be 1/3 of the Quran, and reciting 3 times Surah Al-Ikhlas is the reward of reciting of the whole of the Quran. So this is because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has divided the Quran into three parts. So one part that defends the honor of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the honor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and one to believe about the teachings of Islam, what's halal, what's haram. So Surah Al-Kawthar defends the honor of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Surah Al-Ikhlas defends the honor of defends the honor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what is the kalmah, the shahada of Islam? Ashhadu anna la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. So defend the firstly it's the honor of Allah, that the oneness of Allah, and secondly it's the honor of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And we know how important that is. That so just to translate the ayahs of Surah Al-Kawthar, because the Arabic is translatable as Qul huwallahu ahad. It's a pretty common thing to know. Ahad means one. Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. So in Surah Al-Kawthar we say Inna a'tainaka al-Kawthar. This means we have granted you, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, al-Kawthar. So al-Kawthar is a word that's tough to define in their language, but it comes from a root word which means abundance. So the second ayah is, so pray to your Lord and sacrifice to Him alone, and the and then so the last ayah is indeed your enemy is cut off. So the enemies of the Prophet thought that he had been completely defeated when this ayah was revealed, the surah was revealed. So his trade was ruined. His male children who would perpetuate his name were dead. And people of Makkah do not want to listen to his message anymore. So against the knowledge of his enemies, Prophet Muhammad was given many blessings, including the river of Al-Kawthar. So a description of this river is that this water is whiter than milk, cooler than snow, sweeter than honey, more fragrant than musk, and drinking of it will eternally quench one's thirst. And the person who does not drink from it will never have their thirst quenched. So in just 4 ayahs of Qul huwallahu ahad and 3 ayahs of Surah Al-Kawthar, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us enough to define the entire kalma of Islam. Subhanallah. And so I want to talk now about Surah Al-Kafirun, just a little bit more detail. So the surah starts by addressing the Kafirun. So we should be careful with the use of this word, because we shouldn't be using the word for kafir for anyone. But even Allah used to describe these people, because these people are aware of the message of Islam and still continue to deny it. So in a hadith, Prophet Muhammad said to recite the surah before we lay down to sleep, and he used to do this as a protection from falling into polytheism. And we know how grave of a sin shirk is, polytheism. So lastly, I want to discuss Surah Al-Fatiha and Nas. I'll describe them together because they both deal with the same concept of avoiding the evil eye and seeking refuge from the jinn. So Falak also mentions the word hasad, and hasad is kind of like envy. So Prophet Muhammad said, no seeker of refuge can seek refuge with anything like these two. And learn to recite Surah Al-Fatiha for Surah Al-Falaq, for you will never recite a surah more cherished by Allah and more profound in His sight than the surah. So may Allah, give us understanding that when we're praying, it should be more like a conversation with Allah. So we start with Allahu Akbar. So in Ayatul Kursi, Allah says, وَسِيَا كُرْسِيُّ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. So Allah's throne stretches from the heavens and the earth, and it does not tire Him. So Allah's we don't need to tell Allah He's great. Allahu Akbar is for us. It reminds us while we're praying, what are we praying for? So like I mentioned earlier with Surah Al-Fatiha being like a conversation with you and Allah, and subhanAllah we end with Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, that we're ending the conversation. And then throughout this conversation, we're not just talking to anyone, we're talking to the greatest. So we have to continue to remind ourselves, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. And then even in sujood, Subhan Rabbil Ala, we're continually praising Allah, because we have to remind ourselves that when we're not perfect, and sometimes our mind will wander during prayer and start thinking about our exam tomorrow or something like that. But when we say Allahu Akbar, it should refocus our mind back on what we're actually doing and who we're actually praying to. So May Allah give us understanding of these surahs and allow us to, be more focused and grant us more khushu in our prayers so that we're actually focused. And, when you know what you're saying in prayer, it makes a huge difference. That if you're just reciting ayahs that you don't know the meaning of, then it doesn't carry the same weight as when you actually understand what you're saying. So may Allah grant us this understanding. So I ask Allah to have mercy on all of us. I ask Allah to forgive our parents. I ask Allah to make the remaining exams of the semester easy on us. I ask Allah to reconvene our gatherings, this one and the rest of our gatherings on Seba and Jannat al-Firdaus, inshallah. So I ask Allah to relieve our brothers and sisters in Sudan, everywhere else where they're suffering. Give them all shifa, and the ones who've passed, unfortunately, give them all Jannat al-Firdaus, inshallah. So ربنا تقبل دعاء ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين وأقيموا الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين
آمين.
إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات كانت لهم جنات الفردوس نزلا خالدين فيها لا يبغون عنها حولا قل لو كان البحر مدادا لكلمات ربي لنفد البحر قبل أن تنفد كلمات ربي ولو جئنا بمثله مددا قل إنما أنا بشر مثلكم يوحى إلي إنما إلهكم إله واحد فمن يرجو لقاء ربه فليعمل عملا صالحا ولا يشرك بعبادة ربه أحدا. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
آمين.
قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. Allahu Ekber. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah.